The goal of this video is not to figure out whether Ace is better or Thunder is better. Really, the goal is to figure out some of the nuances. Where's the advantages? Where's the disadvantages? Before we jump into all the results that I have found, let's jump into about a week ago when I set this new FA board up with my first ever pair of Thunder trucks. Alright, so a couple months ago, I set up this jacuzzi board and I have some thoughts about it. Have some thoughts about these bearings and everything like that. In this video, I'm actually gonna be setting up this new FA board. This is my street setup board, so it's a little bit smaller. This is gonna be an 8.3. This was an 8.5 previously that I set up. I wanna go a little smaller. I'm gonna talk about some of the disadvantages I've had with this board, why I'm really not gonna skate it too much further. I'm gonna give it away to somebody maybe at the end of this video, maybe at the skate park. I don't know yet, but I want it to go to good use. I feel bad like taking the board down. I'm just not very motivated to skate it. So while I talk about why I'm not gonna be skating that board anymore and kind of like regret buying it, to be honest, I'm gonna be setting up this new FA board. Luckily my friend gave me it. You can see it's got a little like embossment on it. It's pretty nice. And I got all the essentials in here. Picked them up from a local skate shop, Rose Street. I got some new trucks in here. The only thing that's going to be used on this board that's not going to be brand new is my Splitfire 101 Formula 4 54 millimeter wheels. I got new trucks in here. Some trucks, a company that I've never tried before, so I'm going to be excited to set this board up. We're going to start with some pepper grip tape. I've been loving this stuff. It's a good in-between if you don't know already about it. It's kind of like the in-between of Mob and Jessup. Pepper grip, loving it. And I'm not gonna go too crazy on my grip tape, although I do like this pink veneer, so I'll probably just leave a little stripe on here. What I'm really excited about is to skate a much smaller board. Now, I went from the 8.75 to the 8.5, and I thought that was gonna be quite a big jump, and it was. But the thing about it is, it still wasn't a big enough jump. So, you know, it's always a learning curve for me. I get really scared to size down, like a big jump to a different size board, something that's really terrifying for me. And also this other reason that I didn't go too small is because I did have my Lurk Pip trucks on here and I didn't feel like buying brand new trucks. I think a lot of times when I'm doing this stuff, I gotta be a little bit smart about it financially. Can't just buy new boards all the time. I actually have like 5 different setups right now. It's getting ridiculous. There's so much board madness, so I'm trying to slim it down to like just 2 boards at the most. Although with different wheels, it makes a big difference. Like I just made a video about the 93As I posted today, and those are gonna be really fun. I'm gonna leave bearings in them for like future spots, but it's not a wheel where I feel like I can just leave it on my board all the time. As you see, I left a little stripe behind there, just so you can know what's front and back. It's like one of the most important things you gotta do when you're setting up a board. The other thing about pepper grip tape that's nice, it doesn't get as crinkly as Jessup tends to get. Jessup tends to get like really crinkly when you're setting up. I will say one of the biggest advantages of having multiple boards set up is that you don't ruin them as fast. Like if you just have a skate park board, a curb board, etc., you tend not to go through boards as fast. Once you get to that point where you have multiple setups, whole point for getting a smaller board for me is so I can flip my board a little more. It's not as heavy, and the motivator actually to getting this board was because I was riding my friend Spencer's board at the skate park. I did a kickflip first try. It's a trick that like has taken me a long time to really figure out. So I was just like, all right, that motivated me. I'm gonna get a smaller board. But I didn't get a small enough board because I was just scared. To be honest, that's really what it was. A combination of being scared and not wanting to get brand new trucks, because breaking in trucks sucks sometimes. And you know, these trucks can be kind of expensive. Went for it. I got some new trucks. I'll show you in a second what I got because I'm excited. This is the first time skating these. I've skated a lot of different truck brands in the past, you know, Independence, of course. I have skated like Royals back in the day, Destructo. But in the last couple years, I've been pretty committed to Ace trucks. I do think they're the best, but I just figured why not try something different. A lot of people talk about these trucks all the time. One thing about this board is, and you can see there's not too much marks on it, I didn't get rails. The reason why I didn't get rails was because I just thought maybe I'd flip it more if I didn't have rails on there. But then, like, for some reason or another, I just didn't want to skate it as much because I like to skate, like, even flat rails with the rails on, ledges with the rails on, and I'm just so used to it now, and it just feels so good. It works for me and the type of skating that I do. So I did get some rails for this board. They're actually glow in the dark. Pretty cool. They're like these heroin rails. Picked them up at the skate shop. They're the last ones that were just straight, so I'm excited to set these bad boys up on this board. Now it's pretty obvious, like a smaller board is gonna allow you to flip it and do things like that. Easier to get off the ground. I love to skate big bowls and big transition in general. So a bigger board is better in my case, typically speaking. It's nice to have some options. We will see if I can learn some new flip tricks with these, maybe some new ledge tricks, all sorts of things. That's kind of the point. Just keep skateboarding fun, mix it up a little bit. All right, got our grip tape on there, nice and shiny. Got a little stripe on there. Now let's get to the trucks. The most, exciting part of this whole new skateboard. Dun da da da, dun da da da. These are the Dunders, and I went back and forth at the skate shop for so many different variables of Dunders, but I went with the team hollow. So that means they have a hollow kingpin and they have a hollow hanger. So this truck is gonna be really, really light. I'm gonna be able to flip this board a lot, hopefully. That's the goal. I don't know for sure. And they do have a different sizings. These are the T48, so they're 148s on the 8.3 board. So I do like my trucks to sit right to the edge, and I don't like them to hide under. So when I have the wheel on there, I can see the nut. I still have that set up. So this is gonna be really exciting. I like how I just showed the wheel on there, or the truck on there backwards. Whoops, we got the red bushing. So they're the team hollows, hollow axles and kingpins, 1 millimeter taller than the OG team base plates, with quick turn and response, guaranteed for life. Wow, guaranteed for life. So that means if I break through them, I get a free pair. I'm pretty sure that's what they're saying. So I'm excited to set these boys up. Also, Rose Street was kind enough to hook me up with some hardware. Modus? Got some Modus. I think it's Modus. Is it Modus? I don't know. I have one blue one, so you know also what's in the front. I will get into the quantum bearings. That's the bearings I had on this last board. As you can see, the shields fell off, and this is, you hear that? I didn't even skate this board that much, and these bearings are pretty shot already. The shields fell off. As you can see, the shields are already falling off on there. I mean, I didn't really skate this board that much, so those are the bottom line quantum bearings. They were like $20 from the shop. They have more expensive, quality ones, but in my experience, they weren't great. I mean, that's pretty bad sign that I barely skated that board. I mean, I skated it probably honestly, maybe 10 different sessions, and the bearings are shot. So not a big fan of those. I still think the best bearings that you can get for your bang for your buck are reds. It's just my opinion. I did get some new bearings for this board. We'll talk about those in a second. They were free. I will say the skate shop hooked these up. So shout out to Rose Street for hooking up the bearings and the hardware. You want to say what's up to the homies? Oh, she got grip tape on her foot. Got the 7/8 hardware on there, so it's barely sticking up. This board's gonna be light. I might even get some smaller wheels on it eventually. Like I said, it's the only thing that I'm gonna put on here that's not brand new. Let's get that other truck on. All right, let's see how these trucks are sitting on there. Woo. I wonder if I'll slide extra good on this beveled up edge too. I don't think we'll get a skate session today because the sun is already coming down. We'll might be able to get a quickie. We'll see. All right, boom. Let's get the wheels on there. Now the other thing I did get, shout out to, wait, am I missing one hardware? No. Whoa. It comes with one extra hardware piece. That is awesome. I love that because I feel like I'm always losing a hardware. Did get some of these Modest bearings too, so I'm super excited to try these out. Some more bearings. They were free, so I don't have too many expectations of them, but I'll let you know how they go. Ooh, those things are quiet. There's a lot of space on there. It's nice. Where I feel like with the Aces, you don't have as much space on your wheels to really make them loose. You can't add extra washers. Here's our wheels, the board, size, ratio. This board is really coming together. It's looking good now. I mean, how it looks doesn't matter that much. Well, it does, I should say, actually, because it makes me want to skate it. Like I said, I feel bad that I didn't really use this board that much. So that's the main reason why I regret it. It's just because I didn't go small enough. The bearings were bad. The trucks weren't great. It just was one of those Frankenstein setups where I was really trying to make it work really badly, but the more and more I just try to skate it, I was just this thing is not motivating. I think I'm just gonna get the rails on there. Then we're gonna go test it out, do some flip tricks. I'll record the first couple flip tricks and just see how we do. Look at those. Woo, glow in the dark. I mean, that's definitely kind of silly because I don't know why you would need your glow-in-the-dark rails, but they had some other rails at the skate shop. They were like wiggly Little John rails. I'm not a fan of that. I kind of just want my regular straight rails on here because I think like for certain combo tricks, having the wivel in there, I mean, I can see why people like it for like a fun cruiser shape, but I really do a lot of like back lips, front lips, and I don't know, I think I need to have like something that's just straight down. Maybe if anything, I would have them curved, like if it had a little curve to them, like came out, that would be fine. I actually would really prefer that and like that. Board that's embossed, the rails aren't sitting like super flat. Like there's a little bit of a gap on them, so we'll see if that affects them in the long run. I may need to try to like just screw them down a little bit more, but I think inherently because the board's just not flat, because it has that FA embossment on there, might be a problem with these rails. Ooh. This board might be too big for these trucks, which is good, actually. I think that's good because I can go even smaller on my board. All right, so we just got to the skate park and Spencer has a measuring tool and I just realized the board is an 8.5. It's such a bummer because I took down the other board thinking like I was gonna set up a smaller board. My friend Matt gave this to me, so I can't be too mad about like, you know, it not being the size I want. I might go trade in some of my other hockey boards and get an 8.25. Like a good luck board if you land the kickflip first try, right? Not really warmed up, so maybe I'll just shove first. First go. Well, I didn't get the kickflip, but maybe I'll get a 3-flip first try. Still gotta land the kickflip though. Kickflip's harder than 3-flip at this point. That's what's funny. Too much pressure I'm putting on myself right now. Just gonna try a few. Yeah, see, once I don't think about it. All right, now I wanna try some tray flips. This might be easier. I'm better at tray flips than kickflips. Tray flips are so weird. The more you think about them, the harder they become. Oh, that's horrible. Now, one thing I'm noticing, I think a little bit, I could be paying too much attention, but I feel like less stable when I land. Like I have to be more accurate right on top with the smaller trucks. Like there's less room to land sketchy. Oh. Oh, I'll take it. All right, one more, 3 in a row. I'll take one of those. I think sometimes it's just about like breaking the repetition of falling and just like committing. I mean, I was committing before, but I think it's like a mental game. Like once you get one, you feel confident to land the next. When I was thinking about the tray flip, it's like, oh, this is gonna be much easier. Then like it became harder because I was thinking that it was gonna be easier. So yeah, you know what I mean? Try to do a little line, board side, fakie, switch shove, fakie 50, something like that. I definitely feel like these trucks are so much tighter than like what I'm used to, but I'm scared to like loosen them up right now. I kind of want to just ride them stock still. I agree. Oh! Keep it going. Fuck it. Keep running. Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh. Oh, big all right. Pop though. Thanks, dude. There you go. I'll try one more. I'm pretty scared to like do switch shove off the thing. Ah, almost. All right, all right. See, it's pretty chill, huh? I think what helps me is if I get a good 180. Ah. Ah. Dang it. Dang it. Oh man, that gave me a little confidence boost though. Oh, that's all you need to land on it like that? Yeah. Ah! Can we Photoshop that? Almost fell off the side.
Easy though.
Woo. Learn no slides from Spencer. I want to try a few on here because I think having the smaller trucks will allow me to just balance the no slide a little better. A lot of times I accidentally get into crooked grind. Oh, dragging the hill. Session 2 at Landis. It's actually been about a week. I've actually skated these trucks on my mini ramp and have some thoughts. Thunders versus Aces are the trucks that I normally skate. That wasn't originally the concept of this video, but I feel like that's a good thing to talk about. The difference between the trucks, because there's some good things and some bad things. It really depends ultimately on the type of skating that you do. There's pros and cons to both trucks, but we're getting one more session at Landis, then we'll jump into the mini ramp session and get some final thoughts in between these trucks and what I like and what I don't like. So I had a lot of fun skating Landis Park, flipping my board. But one thing I want to do is skate my mini ramp, see some transition with these Thunders and just see how they feel versus the Aces. Right away, I'll say they feel really, really tight without tightening them or loosening them at all. Sometimes the factory doesn't make it super consistent, so it might not be that way for everyone. They get a brand new pair of trucks, might be tighter or looser, but I just want to ride them on the ramp. I have a feeling I'm going to need to loosen them up at some point, but I'm going to leave them stock and just see how they ride, see how they grind, because I didn't do too much grinding yesterday. I did a little bit of grinding, but I want to do more grinding with the pull coping today and just see how that works out. Now, one of the big differences I noticed on my mini ramp, especially when skating pull coping, is with the Thunders, the feel of the grind was a lot more bumpy and or just more abrasive in general. That could be seen as a good thing or a bad thing. I could just feel every single piece of pull coping, where with my Ace trucks, I feel like they just glide through it, and that's brand new or broken in, to be honest. And I think it's just every grinding surface grinds differently. That's what I've noticed, because even at the ledge at Landis Park, I thought they were pretty smooth. So I think it really depends. For some reason or another, I think it's just because of the coating that is on these versus the coating that's on Ace. Ace does look a lot more slick in general. If you look at Thunders, like, they just feel more bumpy. So I think that is something to be considered. You know, if you're going to be skating a lot of pull coping, things like that, I think that will be a good or bad thing. Where if you're skating a smooth ledge like I was at Landis, I think it was a really good thing. So it kind of added some friction, but it's a lot of abrasion, a lot of friction in the pull coping. So I think ultimately the Thunders took a little more effort, where that could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on the weight that you are, the type of board you're skating, what you're skating. So yeah, just something to kind of think about. I think what was one of the biggest differences, the grinding itself felt a lot more different. There was just more traction essentially with the Thunders. But again, it also depends on what you're skating. So a lot of these things are very nuanced. So one thing I did notice with the Thunders is I felt like much more stable during manual tricks than with my Aces. And obviously you can argue, well, then you could just tighten down your Aces and you'll get more of a stable board. But really, Aces are meant to be more of a loose truck. You know, their whole saying is loose trucks save lives. So that was a one big advantage I'll say with the Thunders. I just felt like I could manual really good, and the stability on the manual was really nice. Like, even if I leaned to the right or the left, I just felt like I had a lot more control, or not even so much control, but I just felt like it kept going straight. So something to think about. And there's the same thing with grinds. Once I got into a good grind, I just felt like it was really locked in and it was really good. And, you know, of course, you could say it has to do with the tightness, but ultimately, I just feel like it was a lot more stable. And the other thing is, you know, Thunders have a bigger wheelbase than Aces. So Aces have a smaller wheelbase, making your board more scrilly. I personally typically actually really do like a shorter wheelbase compared to most transition skaters. I think the longer wheelbase is also what's making it just feel more stable on manual specifically. Something else that I noticed was no slides on the Thunders felt so much better than my Aces. And I'm not sure if that's because if you look at Aces, like the truck actually dips down right here and then it goes to this base plate that has a big angle on it. Where with the Thunders, like the base plate and the hanger both have the exact same sort of angle. So I don't know what it is. Also, the base plate, when it goes all the way to the board, it has the same angle all the way down. Aces kind of don't have that same thing. If you look at the very bottom of the base plate, they're almost more straight. So the point is, like, I think there was more of this angle that was on the base plate with the Thunders that allowed me to kind of lean more into my nose, holding my nose slide a little bit better. So something to think about. And I think the same thing can be said about tail slides as well. I did a couple on the ledge. I didn't really film any. I had a hard time tail sliding them on my mini ramp, but I think that has to do more with the size than the truck itself. So yeah, no slides, manuals, two big perks, tail slides as well. Now, flip tricks felt really good with the Thunders. I think the big disadvantage here is that I have too small of a trucks on my board. And I looked at the Thunder website. They actually said that the 148s are actually an 825 axle, so they fit on a board that's at 8 1/4 to 838. So I am going to get that 82 board, and they'll feel a lot better. So it's kind of hard. Of course, you know, someone can argue this is not a super fair comparison, but it's just some of my findings. And the point that I bring that up is because my board did flip better, and everybody always says like get smaller trucks and your board will flip better, because I really like my trucks to be pretty wide. Like if you look at my Aces, I have an 875 board on right here, and I have the 66 trucks, which are actually bigger. They're a 9-inch hanger. I will make an agreement with the argument that I've seen before is just smaller trucks flip better. But the disadvantage to that is even if I flipped it better, I couldn't be as stable when I landed on it, because I'd be on the edge of my board on one side or the other, and I would just fall over essentially. So I think as much as it did help me flip, I wasn't able to land my tricks as consistent. Like my flip tricks just weren't very consistent as far as landing them. I can flip them really good, but just landing them, that was like very unstable. So just something to think about. Yeah, the smaller trucks did flip better, but the instability of when I got on it, toes to heels, wasn't very good. Obviously, that is because I'm not the cleanest skater. I'm not always landing right in the middle of the board on bolts. So just something to take away from the truck size. Has nothing to do with Thunder versus Ace, but more so just having the smaller truck, in my opinion, is such a big disadvantage. So when I get the smaller deck, I think we'll have some more feedback on whether or not the Thunders versus Aces flip different. You know, obviously these are going to be more of a stable truck, where the Aces are a little more of a loose, kind of groovy truck. So I think it's pretty fair to say that the Thunders are going to be better for flip tricks and street skating overall. Now, the other thing that kind of sucks about having a smaller truck on a board, and this is an extreme, like even Thunder's saying that these are too small, but I think a lot of people do ride trucks like this where it's like the wheels are pretty tucked under, not too crazy tucked under, but enough to like you really have to look over to see it. So the other disadvantages I would say are slappy grinds. Slappy grinds are so hard with the smaller trucks because typically you want a nice wide truck so you can jam into it. You have direct truck contact and your board doesn't flip over one way or another. But yeah, slappy grinds with the smaller trucks were a big disadvantages, as well as, in my opinion, landing flip tricks. And the other thing I'll mention with the smaller trucks is it's much harder to do crooked grinds or Smith grinds. And first I'll get with crooked grinds, talk about that. I just couldn't find that pinch spot on my truck. Like it was more of a balance. And when I did a few crooked grinds, it felt like more of like a nose grind than a crooked grind, because I just couldn't get really on the side of it. And the other thing that I think the smaller trucks are really bad for is Smith grinds. On my mini ramp, I was trying front side and backside Smith grinds like over and over and over. This is a trick that I have dialed in pretty easily, pretty consistent with this trick, but yeah, I just couldn't really get it in there. And I think that is a lot because it would slip out. Like I would try to use that back foot to really pinch and lock that grind, like I was talking about with crooked grinds. Very similar technique where you lock in your grind and you can push it forward, but whenever I try to lock it in, I would either just fall out or stick or something like that. So yeah, I think ultimately having these smaller trucks were a really big disadvantage than they were an advantage. Sure, you can flip it faster, but everything else makes me think it's not worth it. That's where I'm at with these trucks. Ultimately, I think they're really good for what I'm looking for them to be, is my street setup. I think they're going to be really nice, especially when I get a smaller board that actually fits them. And I will be riding my Aces continually on my bigger transition board and even some of my other ATV boards. But it was a fun experiment trying these Thunders. I plan to skate them even further and longer in the future, and just really get them broken in. They do have some nice grind marks on there, but I can't wait to get a good groove on them. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Enjoy the skating, the content either way. I love y'all. Subscribe if you're not already. Mash.